The theme for tonight is pretty simple. It's communication with college coaches, as well as a review of some of the things that we went over in the past couple webinars, just to make sure that everybody's clear and concise on everything moving forward. I'm looking really forward to next week, next Thursday, when we're going to talk about list building and how to generate your own list of schools. This is something that the 2021s and 2022 classes did in group advising this year, and I keep getting questions about it from individual players. So I'm going to keep bringing these things up, and I'm going to walk you through an example player next week. But on to this week, let's get started. Again, some of this from the beginning is going to be review. I want to make sure that we're all clear on a few things. So we're dealing with scholarships here. Division I, at the top, you see we got 11.7. On the right, we have Division II. We have 9 full scholarships. From Division III standpoint, there are no scholarships. We'll cover that in a further slide. Some other things to keep in mind is that at the Division I level, you have a minimum scholarship of 25%. At the Division II level, you can get scholarships in dollar increments. Now, not all programs are fully funded at the Division I level. Not all programs are fully funded at Division II level. That can simply be researched online to see how many scholarships are available at each school. To give you an example of a local PSAC school, whether it's your Westchester or Millersville, the state of Pennsylvania does not give them scholarship money to just readily hand out, being a state institution, and those programs are forced to fundraise up into the total of 9 scholarships for their program. So scholarships, so how are they broken down? So this is no different than a Major League Baseball team or any other team that you've probably ever played on in your life. The team is built right up the middle. So the majority of your money usually goes in this order: pitchers, catchers, shortstop, center fielders. In that order, that means if you don't play those particular positions, that you're not viable. You just fit a different body type, or you have a different skill set. So as you look down these, I'll cover the pitchers first. You're at all levels, your projected weekend starter, you could be looking at somewhere between 50 and 70%, both right-handed and left-handed. I'd like to define a middle reliever. A middle reliever, which would be that 25 to 50%, is a player that they don't feel could step right in as a freshman or right away and be a contributor on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday for a conference weekend or weekend rotation, that they might need a year or two to develop as a middle reliever or a midweek starter. That's what that category is. And the last category of pitchers is projected middle reliever. A specialty reliever. This is somebody who might throw from an odd arm angle. It could be somebody that has a special pitch. No different at the big leagues. We see teams that have left-handed matchups and right-handed matchups. So this is kind of in that mold at the college level. A lot of times you'll see a right-hander in this position as someone that might have a particular pitch or a sidearm or submarine throwing motion, that they're probably not going to be a starter in their career. They're going to be a matchup bullpen guy. As we work our way through the position players from a catcher standpoint all the way through a corner outfielder, those percentages are pretty consistent across the board from what I've found over the years, except for the categories that you see, the LH hitting. That means there is a left-handed hitting option at that particular position. Sometimes coaches prefer left-handed hitters, or on the present roster, they might be right-handed heavy and have to in turn really go to, recruit a couple left-handed hitters for that position. I know personally I've had phone calls over the years. I don't care what position the kid plays, as long as he can swing the bat left-handed. So again, just touching on the roster limitations and expansion throughout this. So keep in mind, Division I baseball is the only sport in the NCAA that has a restricted roster amount. At Division II and Division III, they don't have roster limits, but I'm sure most schools have limits put upon them by their athletic directors and athletic staff. So what does this mean for us with everything that's going on with the COVID-19? So if you have, I consider this, you have three buckets. You have, again, we have your special schools like your Ivy Leagues and your service academies that you have 4 years to play and 4 years to graduate. This really doesn't affect them too much. You have your middle bucket, which would be your colleges, which have no post-grad opportunity after graduation, which means if they want to get an MBA or a postgraduate degree, they need to go to a different school. They will be affected by this, but not too much, because a lot of times their seniors just graduate and move on. And then finally, you have your university settings with undergraduate and postgraduate work available. They're going to be the most affected by this. The returning seniors to these programs can receive their existing scholarship total or zero. It's really up to the individual school and up to the individual staff. The returning seniors, their monies will not count against the allotment of scholarships. So if you think of the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors that are currently there, if you're starting to look into rosters, which we'll cover a little bit later, those kids, we want to assume that those kids are going to still be on campus when we show up. There is a thing out there called, we've talked about before, of the grad transfers. These are kids that have completed, let's say, out of bucket 2 and bucket 3, and they want to go play their additional year of eligibility that was just granted to them by the NCAA at a different institution and start grad school. They can go there, but if they're offered scholarship, that'll count against the 11.7 or 9 scholarships. Other than not playing baseball for a full calendar year and being in for a dogfight come the fall, the incoming freshman class, so they're seniors right now, that'll be freshmen in the fall. This will not really affect them too much. They'll be right on time. So this was just an example we went over. So if you're thinking of just a general, we'll say Division I baseball roster, which is allowed 35 total players, 27 on scholarship, and there's 5 seniors, that roster the following year for 2021 can increase by 5 if all 5 seniors come back. If only 3 come back, obviously that roster goes from 35 to 38, and it kind of just decreases, but it can only raise as high as the amount of seniors that they had. So for Division III, again, there are no scholarships available at Division III. Everything's done in financial aid, grant money, and what we like to call academic money, or it's in the industry, it's called merit money. This is how they almost in turn scholarship their players from an athletic standpoint. Again, there's no athletic grant money available. Everything's given from the schools in regards to, qualifiers for financial aid and academics. The better your grades are, the better chance you are at getting academic money. And if the guys with unbelievable grades, we'll call them impeccable perfect, you're going to have the greatest opportunity to save mom and dad money by getting an academic scholarship. We want to cover junior college, because this is definitely going to be an option for a lot of kids in high school right now, and a lot of players that were probably freshmen this past year at all levels. They might say, hey, I just want to go to a JUCO, and play a couple years, give myself a chance to develop, and then enter the recruiting process all over again after my sophomore year of junior college. So there are 3 levels. You have Division I, Division II, Division III. There is a difference between them. Basically in rules, not so much in talent. Just remember that. It's not Division I junior college is not necessarily better than a Division II junior college. It's just the set of rules and how those individual schools are financed. So Division I can offer full athletic scholarships. Division II can offer limited scholarships to tuition fees and books. And Division IIIs cannot offer anything athletically related in financial aid. A couple things to keep in mind. If you have made it through the NCAA clearinghouse, which we will talk about a little bit later in this presentation, if you've made it through and you want to go to a junior college for a year and you just want to reset your clock, you can do that, and you only have to stay to junior college for 1 year because you're a qualifier. If you were a non-qualifier through the NCAA clearinghouse, you have to stay for 2 years and graduate with your associate's degree in the correct amount of credits before you can transfer out. Both of those work. Trust me, I've known kids that have gone from a junior college to an incredible academic institution. And they just felt they needed a year of college under their belt to develop on the field before they transferred. It is possible at all levels. At Division I and Division II, you will have to get a waiver from your coach if you decide you want to transfer out of one junior college into another, and the coach has a right to say either yes or no. So just kind of keep those things in mind when it comes to junior college, and be open to these opportunities that they provide. So kind of get into just another review of some NCAA definitions. We are right now basically in a quiet period. NCAA is calling a dead period through May 31st. There's been no change in that up until this point. 2021s right now are free and open to talk to college coaches openly through phone conversations, email, text messages, social media, direct messages, and every lines of communication. 2022s and 2023s. Technically, you're not allowed to talk to coaches until September 1st of their junior year. Coaches get around these rules by having third-party people like myself or some other guys within our organization, excuse me, they'll say, hey, I'd like to arrange a phone call. Can you have this young gentleman in your program call me at this time, at this number? And that's how the conversations start. If some of you guys are already involved in these conversations, let's make sure that we're setting up our next phone call before we get off the phone. Recruiting calendar. So nothing's new from the NCAA in regards to that. This is in stone. This is what's going to happen this year. So we're still assuming that we're going to be starting around June. Some things are starting to open up in PA. Golf courses are starting to open up, which is a really good sign for outdoor activities for us as baseball. So we're still shooting for that. June 1st, be ready to go. So let's talk about these dead periods that will be in effect. So we still will have dead periods, the 19, 20, 21, which represents the Father's Day weekend and the 4th of July holiday in July, the day before, the day of, and the day after. They still will be in effect. My biggest concern is in that we have to push tons of events backwards nationally across the board. Will the NCAA step in and do something for baseball and open up the month of August and September? I personally think the answer is going to be no, because you're talking about a singular sport who voted on these rules, agreed to these rules, and now they want to change them. I doubt they're going to change. So the open weekends that we're going to see run through the 15th and 16th of August doesn't open back up again for us in the fall to basically the 19 and 20 weekend of September, and the last weekend that Division I coaches can go out and recruit is the 10th and 11th of October. So if I hear anything, I know we've looked at this calendar multiple times, but hopefully you guys have it memorized as much as I do by now, because this is going to be your bread and butter, knowing when coaches can go out and recruit, that you guys feel like Division I is going to be in your realm. So what should you be doing today? Parents, here's the number one thing. I know during the group recruiting, the group seminars that we did with the 21 and 2022 class from the group advising standpoint, we discussed all this, and their job was to come back to you with their sheets that they had filled out. So these were the conversations that we had. How far away from home do you want to go? Or moms and dads, how far away from home do you want your kids to go? What type of community do you want your child going to school in? Is he going to be okay in an urban setting? Is he going to be okay out in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing to do but go to school and play baseball, which was my situation, which worked out great. That was my dad's exact words, is you got nothing to do here but go to school and play baseball. You're going to be in good shape. And then ultimately, you're going to have your traditional colleges, which have your towns, your academic campus, and your athletic campus, all within one big footprint. The size of school. This, for me, is a very important question. This is an education question, is how will my kid learn best? Can he be successful in a classroom with 200 kids in an auditorium learning freshman algebra? I don't know. You're going to know your child better than I do. You guys as players are going to know better than anybody how you feel like you're going to learn best, because ultimately we want to be successful in the classroom as well as successful on the field. And most importantly, begin to have the conversations of what we want to major in. And it's okay to be undecided at this point. If you are undecided at this point, start to dig into majors. Think about what interests you. Have these conversations. We're all locked in houses. It's good times to have conversations and get off the Xboxes and PlayStations. So the actions that we wanted them to do is start to put together a list of schools at varying levels. So I'm talking Division I, Division II, Division III. And if you have interest and think junior college might be an opportunity for you, look at the junior colleges and look how those are broken down. Start to research rosters. We'll cover a little bit more. Visit campuses and ultimately go see baseball games next year. Really get an idea for you guys that are younger. Get out next spring and start to watch college baseball games and see where you think that you can play and what level you think you can compete at. We're in a great area here because we have Division I, Division II, Division III. And if you really want to stretch it into some junior college, you can go see junior colleges all within a simple 35, 40-minute drive of where we live around the area. So how do we start this process of generating this list? These are the resources. And again, this will be sent to you guys, so you will have links. These will be hyperlinks that you can click on them and use. The best resource for me for Division I baseball is College Baseball Insider. It is very well organized. It is very well kept. It makes it the easiest way to navigate Division I baseball. If you go onto the website and you click on teams and links, it'll give you a big page of every Division I baseball program broken down alphabetically by conference with a single click takes you right to the baseball page, and another click which lets you know who the head coach is. And the guy next to that would be basically your sports information director. The best resource for Division II research is the website called the Baseball Observer. On this is a little bit more technical to get around. You will have logos of each conference in front of you, and those one clicks lets you see which takes you right to the conference baseball webpage. And then from there, what I think is the best is look at the standings. Somewhere on that landing page, you're going to be able to click on standings, and you're going to see how the conference is broken down. And unfortunately, you'll see who was in first place and who was in last place after playing for about 2 weeks this spring. From there, you can just navigate which schools you have interest in and just put them into a browser and go and attack them by conference. For Division III, best resource is d3baseball.com. This website is brilliantly developed. To research teams, it is done by region, which is how in the Division III championships, that is how they play their regionals and super regionals. And ultimately, the winner of each region goes to the College World Series. So you might have your Mid-Atlantic, your North, your West, your South, and ultimately your New England. It'll have every area broken down by region. Again, find a school you have interest in, click on that conference, look at the standings. If you're interested generally at one school in that conference, generally you're going to be interested in all of them. And then the last but not least is the junior college. The best reference for this is the njcaa.com. You're going to have to click on baseball, and you can click on teams from that point. And then what it'll do, it'll give you 3 columns of teams. This one's a little bit confusing because they're broken up into numerical regions, region 1 through, I don't even know, region maybe 30. I couldn't even tell you, to be honest with you. All the regions that we've had success with sending kids to, those are region 26, region 10, and region 19. Then within those regions, you're going to have Division I, Division II, and Division III programs. Once you really get a look at it and learn how to navigate it, it's really pretty simple, and it'll make sense to you after a while. So once we get on there and we find all these websites, we would need to start to dive into rosters. And this is going to be very difficult right now. And I have to be as honest with you as I can. When you're looking at rosters, here's what I would do if I was in your shoes, is I would take the rosters, which are readily available online right now, And I would assume at most of your universities that those 2020 rosters are going to come back fully intact with an entire class of 2020s coming in as freshmen. Just understand that. We're just going to have to assume this. Schools without graduate programs, your colleges, we want to make sure, we're going to assume that all of those seniors are gone. We're going to try to dig maybe through Perfect Games website, through their commitment list, and find out who is going to, let's say Wofford College in South Carolina. How many commits do they have coming in? We're going to assume all those kids are coming in. Then the seniors that are there have all graduated and they're moving on to their professional careers, or they're going to do a grad transfer year somebody else. To give you an example of one of our own players, and I chose Wofford for this reason. His name is Andrew Orzel. He just went through this with his head coach at Wofford. He's a senior, has had a great career, played all 4 years. Him and I had a conversation. He wants to play, wants to continue to play. I gave him the advice to go to his coach and ask his advice on what he should do. And before he even did that, I said, listen, you need to have the conversation about him. Should I enter the transfer portal? And I told him, you need to ask that question, because my answer to him unequivocally was yes. You should have done it 2 weeks ago, putting your name into the portal. And if you guys aren't familiar with the NCAA portal, the transfer portal is kids can openly now at all levels, Division I through Division III, they can put their names into this portal. So every other college coach in the country can see that they're interested in transferring out of their present institution, and then they can follow up and recruit. In the past, you'd have to sign waivers and communication waivers, and coaches would have to release you. This is just making it a little bit easier for them. And for you all to know, that college baseball transfer portal is over 600 players right now. And I'll kind of get into that once I'm done going through researching rosters. So Division II and Division III guys don't have roster restrictions. Make sure that we're concentrating on our positions. If we're not sure what our primary position is going to be, if we're a young guy and we're still not sure if we're going to be a position player or a pitcher, we're going to have to do double the work. You're going to know the position you play, you know you're going to pitch. We're researching not one, but 2 positions. So here's our checklist. We need to make sure that we do this. And this slide is going to show up probably in every single presentation that I give and every webinar, because it is so important. We need to send emails to college coaches. We need to communicate with them now. Especially you guys that are 21s and 22s, 23s, you're still in research mode. We need to provide for them in this letter a copy of our transcripts. Again, talk to your guidance counselors and make contact. See how difficult is it going to be for you to get a copy of your transcript once all of our classes are done at remote learning. You have to ask that question now. Okay, if you have SAT or ACT scores, we're going to add those in there. A lot of schools that I've talked to in the last couple of weeks are going test negative, which means they're not going to require standardized testing because of the current condition of the country. Obviously, you're not going to send them a copy of your high school schedule because it doesn't exist, but we're going to send them a copy of our summer schedule and fall schedules when we have those available for you guys. We're also going to make sure that we fill out the online questionnaires for all of these schools. If you cannot find it on the website, email the coach, ask him if he can send you a link, or ask him if he has something that he can send. Recruiting videos. I'm going to touch on this because I think I have a few questions about recruiting videos, so I might as well touch on this now. We still have plans to do your recruiting videos. This was part of your futures package for the 21s and 22s. We can't do them until they tell us we're allowed to do them, which is why we've asked you, if you can at home, to produce some workout videos on your own. Get them to us right now, and we'll get them out through our social media network and channels. It's very simple to do. If you have any questions about it, just shoot me an email at mike@allstarbaseballacademy.com, or you guys all have my cell phone number. Just call me on my cell phone, and we'll walk through what I need you to do, or what we need you to do for just to generate a real quick, simple recruiting video. Here are a couple rules. Guys, we don't need music in the background, and we don't need a huge production. If you want to do a home screen with your name, grad year, high school, GPA, SAT score, pass throws, all that stuff. You can do that very similar to what the image of Grant is here on the page. And then most importantly, please wear baseball attire. Okay, shorts and t-shirts. You're part of this program for a reason. Let's look the part. When we're shooting these videos, you can wear, we prefer if you were to wear all-star stuff. If you don't have any all-star stuff, just wear your high school stuff, because that's how you're always going to be connected to the coaches. So, and ultimately at the end of the day, you juniors, if you haven't done it yet, I'm going to keep saying it, register for the clearinghouse. Quick review on the clearinghouse and what it is. It is a way for the NCAA to make more money and charge you for this service, just so they can tell you that you have done well enough to school to play college athletics. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere along the way that the clearinghouse is going to be not requiring standardized testing scores, but they will require you, in order to get through the clearinghouse, a 2.3 GPA in the select core courses. It doesn't mean you can slack off. A 2.3 is not going to get you anywhere. Again, we'll send you part of this. We'll have hyperlinks in here so you guys can register this, and I'll have at the end of this presentation, I'll have a whole list of links for you guys to use, everything from the clearinghouse to all of the previous links to the conferences, and ultimately some of the financial aid stuff and financial aid calculators that can come in handy. So we're gonna tack this from freshman year through junior year. I'll leave these up here, let you guys read them. There's a couple things, and I'll start making some points, some bullet points on all of these. Freshman year, most important, you cannot get yourself into an academic hole. Use this time that you guys are remote learning that might have struggled in the first couple semesters. Let's use this time this last and just knock it out of the ballpark. Let's start off our freshman year great, because kids who struggle their freshman year with grade point averages, it's a very tough hole to dig out of. Parents, most importantly, we need to have the conversation about social media. This is a very fluid topic, and as we go, this used to be just Facebook and Twitter, and now it's turned into Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Know what they're doing. Guys, if you have any, it's a perfect exercise, since you're staring at your phones all day, every day, is go through your timelines and make sure there's nothing on there that would possibly prohibit you from being recruited. If anything looks even slightly suspicious, take it down. Also, most importantly, as a freshman, we want you to start to get some instruction from college coaches and get comfortable being around them. Think of like our Westchester College Coaches Camp from an instructional based standpoint. If you're interested and you're curious about showcasing, our underclassmen games is a great opportunity as a first showcase for a kid. 10th grade, sophomores, 2022s. We feel this is a great time for you to start lifting and getting used to the weight room. If you're not sure where it is, ask one of the football players at your high school. It's the biggest and strongest guy, and ask him what he's doing, and introduce you to the guy in the weight room at your schools who's in charge of strength and conditioning. It's the biggest separator in all of baseball. Kids who find the weight room early are the kids who usually end up in the best places, as far as you can say their top 10 schools. Kids who don't are always behind physically. Get in the weight room. Take SAT courses or prep courses. I'm pretty sure they're not available right now, but I'm sure you can take practice exams and take some online classes. I know they're very popular. This is for next year. Let's go see college baseball games at all levels in our area. Let's take advantage of it based upon your curiosity and where you think you can play. And you can hit all 3 levels, all 4 levels, and you can hit junior college in here as well. If you're not sure which junior colleges to go see, there's always Hartford down in Maryland. And then right over the bridge, you have a really good conference of junior colleges in New Jersey with Rowan, Gloucester County, is one of the better programs in the country. So again, 10th grade year, you might do a couple camps, be around college coaches. This could be a combination of instructional in the wintertime, of on-campus camps, and showcasing in the summer. But this is really the first year we feel you should really get your feet wet in showcasing. Everything kind of comes together junior year. So this is where you can get written and phone conversations and social media contacts by college coaches on September 1st. This is where we register for the NCAA clearinghouse. At this point, we should have a pretty good idea of where we're going to fit on the field, and we can kind of tailor our fall schedules and winter schedules to kind of become hyper-focused on our best position. Obviously, academics have to continue to go, and this is where we really want to start, having the videos, and this is where all of our communication is in hyperdrive with coaches, because the communication is open. So the list of resources that I mentioned here that I want to go through here is we talked about some of these. We have collegebaseballinsider.com, which has your teams and links. D1baseball.com is not one that we mentioned before. This used to be a free website. Now it's a pay service, but it's more of an article generating blog than it is a website. There's some great writers from all over the country that cover college baseball, and they produce some really good articles. It's not too expensive, but it's a great resource just to catch up on Division I baseball in regards to power rankings, conferences, scores and schedules. They have a great scores and schedules link that you can see all the scores and check box scores and stuff like that on each weekend. So that's the next one, the Baseball Observers for Division II conferences. D3baseball.com, we cover the eligibilitycenter.org is your NCAA clearinghouse. And then a couple links for financial aid calculators. Doesn't hurt to go through it just to see if your family's going to be, mom and dad, if you guys are going to be qualifiers for financial aid, and then ultimately the FAFSA forms through the government. So guys, these links and this information, some of it might be repetitive, but I can tell you every year, and I'm not going to mention any names, guys that have sat through grad year talks with us for year after year after year, and I get to their junior year and it's probably October, November, and I ask them, have you signed up, have you done the clearinghouse yet? And their answer is no. If you're listening, you know who you are. This is why we're repeating ourselves consistently with this content and this information, because it's important and it's time sensitive, and that we really want you guys to stay on top of it. So I want to thank you guys. We have a bunch of questions here that I want to get to. Some of these I covered a little bit. I won't give any names. We'll kind of just run through some of these questions, and they're great questions. So the first question is will there be less scholarships available from college coaches? This is a great question. I could spend the next hour talking about this. Right now, the answer is not yes, and the answer is not no. The answer is probably maybe. And I say maybe because you have to think about it from a national level, not just a Division I, Division II, division. It's across the board. There's 600 athletes in the transfer portal right now. A large percentage of those are going to land at universities. So if you think about it, just the math alone, and you think about you have, let's say I'm a 2021, or in this case, the question came from a 2022. And I'm also, I don't think these rosters are really going to affect the 2022s and 2023s. They're really going to affect 2021s, which is why next week, you guys that have contacted me about doing lists, we're going to do list creation next Thursday night. It's going to be very interactive, and I think I have it down. I've worked with our tech guy that we can make it very seamless for you guys to follow along. So to answer this question, I think it's to be determined right now. I think all of these rosters kind of have to formulate over the next couple months leading into the fall semesters, and let these rosters settle and figure out where kids actually land before we find out what's available and what scholarships available. And that is truly from the conversations that I've had with college coaches since this whole thing started, is how's this going to work? And they don't have an answer yet. And if they don't have an answer yet, I don't have one for you. All I can tell you is research the rosters, do your best guessing, call me if you have any questions, or email me if you have any questions. A couple questions about the recruiting videos. We talked about those. We're still, they're still on our mind. We know we have to create those for you. It's just a matter of when we're going to be allowed to and how we're going to fit them in. Chances are, in my mind, When we start at the beginning of June, we're probably not even going to have maybe a practice under our belt, and we're going to have to start playing. So with that said, somewhere, I'm assuming probably somewhere during those weeks that we get into the groove with practice, we'll set aside some time and film probably grad years at a time, but don't hold me to that. That's on us. We'll figure that out, and we'll make it seamless for you guys. Next question is, ASBA providing contact information and player recommendations to college coaches to find 2021 recruits? Yes. So I know personally myself, we're talking to many college coaches, but a lot of the questions that I'm getting are being generated by the players doing their jobs and contacting the college coaches. I don't care if my name, my email, and my cell phone address is listed on your email as a main point of contact. I don't care. This is my job. My job is to help you all find and navigate your way through this recruiting process. It starts with you. You make the initial contact, and the coaches then contact us on your behalf to start to ask the important questions. If you have a particular coach or a particular organization that you would like me to connect with, just shoot me an email. Give me a list of schools. I'll pick up the phone, I'll call them and find out what they're looking for. But most importantly, we got to find out, are they recruiting your particular position in your particular grad year? And that's the first question that we have to find out. And that's a question that you can ask as well in emails, okay? Or if you're 2021, in a text message if you're communicating with college coaches. So next question is, how will rosters and scholarships be affected in 21 and 2022 for most programs? I think I covered that a little bit. Again, we're still in a wait to be determined type of mode in regards to, we have to let all of these rosters kind of take place. I could tell you, just as an example, I had a call yesterday from a Division I coach in the Big South Conference who was questioning one of our players who played for me in our program, who is at a college that doesn't have a graduate program, and he's looking to transfer. And that coach connected the dots, called me on behalf of that kid to find out what that kid is all about and if he can help their program. And he was in the transfer portal. So that's just one example. And all of those kids are going to be sifted through. The coaches I've talked to in regards to the transfer portal, this is a part of their daily routine. It's like getting up, drinking a cup of coffee, brushing your teeth, and making your bed. They jump onto the transfer portal and see who's on there. So to answer that question, I think it's just going to be it's going to take a little bit of time. And I think we'll have better answers once the recruiting process and coaches can actually physically go out and recruit players. So last question here, we'll let you guys go for the night, is will there be less blackout time during the 2020 fall season? Again, this goes back to the recruiting calendar for you guys. I have a copy of the COVID-19 NCAA basic handbook on what coaches can do and cannot do. And it clearly states in there is the recruiting calendars will not change. So to go backwards to the recruiting calendar in the fall, and what we consider the fall, we consider the fall September and October. If you're looking at last year, remember last year, we start playing those first 2 weekends in the fall, because even then the Division IIs and Division IIIs and junior colleges can come out and recruit. This is not all about Division I. And then we have our 2 weekends in September, our couple weekends in October, and then things shut down for Division I, but that doesn't mean Division II and Division III stop recruiting. So with that said, according to the NCAA, it's not going to change. If it doesn't change, we're going to be stuck as a large group of kids nationally. We're going to be stuck with this from a Division I standpoint. But again, it doesn't mean Division IIs and Division IIIs can't continue to go out and recruit. So I want to thank you guys for jumping on here tonight. Again, keep the questions coming. Feel free to email me or call me on my cell phone. You guys all have my number and you'll have my email address. You guys have a great night. Stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks. Take care.